It is a football Friday. We've got plenty on the Bills coming up. Chris Brown joins us next segment. Jeremy and Joe. Joe off today. I'm off next week. I'm off for a considerable amount of time coming up. I've got some vacation coming, so you'll all be free of me. That's you too, Paul. But I'll text you on the side if I have to. If you miss me too much, I'll just text you.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to it.
Paul, I was thinking about you on the way down to the arena. We all went to the game last night, and as we're talking about Sabres and Flyers, I got bullish and I said, listen, I know it's the first game back after a Western Conference swing, but it's been 4 days. This is not the same. You're not going to get your rusty, terrible game that you get back from the Western Conference. And they didn't get that, but they got a period where they were not very good early on.
Yeah, I'd almost say the first half of the game. You absolutely got that. I mean, but you didn't get it for the whole game, and maybe because of what you just said. I mean, they have had some time between, getting home at, 5, 6 in the morning and, having the first game back. So it didn't turn into the whole game being that. But certainly in the first, I would say, 30 minutes, their puck management was absolutely horrendous. I mean, they were just giving the puck up and Lyon was forced into making some great saves and through it all, though, I mean, Philadelphia only had a 2-1 lead. I mean, and so they woke up in the second period and got it going, and got 2 goals right at the end of the period. Two very nice goals, by the way. At 16:54 and at 19:30, and they leave the second period up by a goal. And it's like, okay. And it reminded me, because I heard Granato and Lindy Ruff, they've said it so many times, that, you're not always going to have your A game. And that doesn't mean that's an excuse to lose the hockey game. Because good teams, when they don't have their A game, figure out a way to win with their B game. Well, quite honestly, I think they had their C game to start off with.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. But again, Lyon held them in, played really well, and the game didn't get away from them. They hung in there. They were right there. And it reminds you also of some of the games where they didn't get points in the beginning of the year. Remember, they had that really bad game in Boston, but they were only down 2-1 when they pulled the goaltender in the third period to try to get back in the game, and Boston didn't make it 3-1 with the empty netter. The 3 seconds were left in the game, and they played worse in that game than they played in this one. But they hung in there, but they didn't find a way to get points. And this one, they found a way to not only get points, but to win the hockey game. And if you're planning on getting back into this race, you can't go into the third period with the lead against one of the teams you're chasing and give them points. I mean, you got to get out of there in regulation with 2 points and give them nothing. You can't. And sure enough, it's 6-on-4 because you had one of those penalties where the puck accidentally goes over the glass, and with 2:19 left in regulation, you're up a goal. It's going to be a 6-on-4. Flyers, interestingly enough, didn't pull the goaltender until there was a minute and a half left, so they only had a minute and a half of a 6-on-4. But I loved the desperation I saw there. You got good saves from Lyon. You had 4 guys who were desperate to block shots or do anything they needed to do to try to win a hockey game. And as Lindy Ruff said, he goes, when you have a 6-on-4, you got to kind of just bunch it in and understand that you're going to give up some shots, but give them up from on top of the circles and further.
Yeah,
He said, let them shoot from there and let your goaltender make the save or block the shot. Don't let them get inside on you and start passing the puck around for those layups.
Paul, on a 6-on-4, I asked Owen this at the game, and sometimes when I'm watching my team that I'm rooting for trying to kill a game and get an empty netter, I know you don't want to have 6-on-4, but you are able to defend differently and just rip the puck down the ice and kill more time as opposed to, icing it in that spot. Sometimes I don't mind it. I feel like it can kind of simplify what the penalty killers can do.
Yeah, and if you happen to get one of those ones you put down ice on net, you've got yourself a goal.
Right,
so,
you got the win.
But they did it. I was very impressed
Yeah.
by the way they handled that 6-on-4, and So they were still able to win the hockey game, and Samuelson comes out of the penalty box and quite honestly makes a pretty nice play to help McLeod score the empty netter. I mean, he comes out of the box, gets the puck, puts a little move on so he doesn't lose the puck. McLeod comes up and joins him, and he's able to get him the puck, and he basically just walks in, free to get the empty netter. So even that I thought was a well-executed play.
Did you like the fact that, the tide kind of turns in that game last night on the second Sabres goal to make it 2-2, that it's Dahlin and Thompson that do it? Like, I know we talk a lot, your best players need to be your best players. And in this new era, whatever version of the Sabres we see moving forward, the likelihood is that those two guys are going to continue to be some of your best players. And I'm not sure if you saw it, but the first intermission, we've got on the television on ESPN, John Tortorella kind of breaking down Tage, like asking for more from him. And I know there's some Sabres fans that sometimes think he might be whatever. You might need a little more, like him at center because he's more engaged, whatever it is. But Dahlin and Thompson combining for that goal, like that feels like it's a moment where your leaders lead.
And let's be honest, Tage Thompson that might have been one of the worst periods and a half I'd seen him play. But still, you give him an opportunity. First of all, the skill on both ends of that goal. Dahlin comes in on the wall. That was a tough little stretch there for Sanheim. Sanheim runs it up the wall. Dahlin picks it off. So Sanheim turns the puck over there. And Dahlin makes a gorgeous move. I mean, to the back pass to Thompson. And then Thompson puts a move on Sanheim because he could have shot there, but as Lindy Ruff said, he changed the angle of the shot, and goal scorers do that. So, all right, now you got Urson set up for what he thinks Thompson's going to shoot, and he just makes a little move to his right just to change the angle of the shot, and that's all he needed to put it in. So you give Thompson that opportunity when he's been having a pretty bad game, as you said, Tortorella. I didn't hear it, and because I'm doing that walk-off interview in the first period, but I had read about on Twitter. You had talked about it, and others had talked about it. But you give him that chance, and now, all right, your best players have to be your best players. There are two of your best players who make a gorgeous play. That's 5 straight games now for Thompson, who is now again performing like one of your best players. Tuck is now performing like one of your best players. He got an assist on the next goal. And again, he's the one that kind of got things started. Josh Norris, he's performing. Norris has been back for 6 games. He has points in all 6 games. And what a move he makes to score the goal. I mean, it's a power play goal. Benson finds him all by himself. There isn't a flyer within 15 feet of him. So he comes at Urson, and just a little move, like he's going to pass it back to Benson. And they opened up Urson, and he puts it right between the legs and in. Now that's what's called a goal scorer's goal. I mean, and now in the 6 games back, he's got 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. Dahlin, same thing. He has 2 goals and 8 assists for 10 points in his last 8 games. So look at there. I mean, because how long have we talked about when they were playing poorly, their best players were playing poorly. They were not coming through. And you got to have them. And they're getting them now. And finally, they have left the cellar of the Eastern Conference. It took 4 straight wins. And it took 10 wins out of 16 games. I mean, they were 9-6. They won 9 out of 15 games, which is a 600 points percentage, which was 10th in the NHL. So that's very good. And they still hadn't left the basement of the conference. And that's, what I talk about, that it's not the points that they're behind. It's having to vault 8 teams to get there. Well, they finally have vaulted one of them. They're past the Columbus Blue Jackets. But it took a 10-6 record. It took 16 games to get by one team.
Paul, before I let you go, sorry, I want to ask you about the goaltender situation because it's probably like one of the first things Jarmo Kekalainen might tackle. Colton Ellis has been cleared to return. Right now he gets some practice time. So
so he's still on IR, so they don't need the roster spot.
Not yet, but when they do, like we have now 2 stretches of Lyon being good when they lean on him. We've got a report from Elliot Friedman talking about how Edmonton had been taking in on Alex Lyon and done some deep dives on him maybe in the offseason, so that Lyon might be the most appealing for anybody that wants to trade because it's just a rental and he could maybe help bolster somebody. But I wonder what you think about who's the most likely to move or who the right person to move is. Let's just strip return out of it because I don't even know what you would get for any of these players. But who should they keep? Isn't Lyon doing what they would want and maybe worth keeping?
Don't forget Lyon signed a 2-year contract, so he wouldn't be a rental right away for any team that would take him on. I was thinking Winnipeg when their goaltender was out. Now he is back. But still, Comrie is still the backup. And it just seems like Hellebuck plays too much in the regular season, and then it affects him in the playoffs. And people say, well, he really likes Comrie. That's why Comrie's the backup. Well, Winnipeg kind of knocked themselves out of contention for a while because they had to turn to Comrie while Hellebuck was out. And so I was thinking right away that Lyon would be a very big upgrade for them if they were able to get him, to back up Hellebuck, and he understands what it's like to have to sit around. But here he is. I mean, don't forget, he hadn't won a game since October when he beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, and now he's won 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. Because, and what did I say? And when we were talking, and you guys agreed too. I go, it doesn't matter. Just pick one and let him go on a run. Treat him like the number 1 goaltender. And because you're screwing up all 3 of them by playing them a little bit, and then they one bad game, and they pull them out and then move on to the next one. Stop. Just pick one and let him do it. Well, it's been Lyon. He had to play 2 games in a row because he had to come in for the other one got hurt and one was ineffective. And then he won one of those games where he came in relief. And then he started the next one and he won. So, of course, all right, well, wait a minute. He's won 2 in a row. Let's start him in the next one. And he wins that one. And now he's won 4 in a row. So that's good. Now ride him. But don't, if he has a bad game, let's say he plays against the Islanders as a bad game, don't say, well, let's move on to Luukkonen now. No. Now, you're going to have to play probably Luukkonen, on the weekend here because you got the Islanders on one game. You got the Devils coming up, I believe, after that. And so when you have a back-to-back, I would say play Luukkonen on the home game because his averages are at home and away are very close during his career, but not this year. He's 4-1-0 at home with a 1.97 and a 921 save percentage. On the road, he's 0-4-1 with a 3.97 and an 843.
Yeah.
So if you got a back-to-back where you're going to have to throw somebody in, throw Luukkonen in on the home game, and then if it's a home and then an away, and then play because Lions' numbers are almost identical going into last night's game. Home, you know him. He's a veteran goaltender. I mean, he's like 3-3. Well, now he's 4-3-2 at home and 3-3-1 on the road. I mean, so and it's his numbers are pretty clear either way. So that's the way I would run it. When you got to put another goaltender in right now, treat Lyon as the starter, but you're going to have to put somebody in now and then. If you can, make it a home game for Luukkonen and then get back to Lyon.
And then Connor Timmins, a broken leg last night.
Yeah, that was just a freak accident on the ice. And he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. And usually Lindy, after a game, doesn't really know what's going on. So they've obviously had figured that out already because, Kozak went out and he wasn't sure about him also. But, so you just get one defenseman back in Kesselring. And, Bryson sits for one game as the number 7 defenseman, and now he'll be back in. And quite honestly, I don't think he plays as poorly as people make him out to be in this trip through. I think he's been fine. He has not been their worst defenseman in the stretch he was in there. He's not going to run anybody over for sure, but he uses his angles to break up plays, and I think he's been doing that pretty well. And that first pass out of the zone usually is on the stick, and they get out of the zone. So, for the number 7 defenseman, for what you need him for, to have him ready to play when you need him to play, I think he's been fine this year.
Quickly on Michael Kesselring, Paul, it was his 10th game, so we haven't really had a chance to see him consistently in the lineup either. In 10 games, how have you liked him?
I liked him a little better last night. He was talking about that he was looking forward to getting back this time because he feels better coming back this time than he did the first time. And I kind of saw that, I especially his movements, because Lindy Ruff always talks about what a good skater he is, and I saw that with Team USA, and I thought we saw that a little bit last night. And now, unfortunately, I believe he got his stick on the York goal. He's got that big reach and came out. I couldn't tell absolutely, and I forgot to ask Lyon about it after the game, but it looked the way Lyon reacted, and it looked like the way the puck ramped up, that when he got his stick out there, I think he might have got a piece of it. But other than that, I thought he was part of that penalty kill also at the end. So, and they need him to play better, and he knows it. I mean, he absolutely knows it. I mean, he was very upset with the way he was playing and when he got back from the first injury. So, he needs to be better. And I thought, with the rest of the team in the last half of that game, I thought he was better. I thought that was one of his better performances I had seen in the last half of that game.
Paul Hamilton, his appearance brought to you by Relax Honda. Relax, we got this. Thanks, Paul.
No problem. Take care.
Sabres next play the Islanders.